After defeating the pillar Rengoku, Akaza went to find Muzan, who was currently in the form of a child, to report the situation. However, instead of being recognized for defeating one of the pillars, Akaza was continuously criticized for not being able to defeat the trio of Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, especially for not finding the blue spider lily, a flower that can grant immortality to Muzan. The aura created by Muzan made Akaza unable to move or fight back. After being allowed to leave, Akaza reminisced about Tanjiro and swore to kill him. The next morning, Zenitsu stole some buns to bring to Tanjiro, but he was nowhere to be found. It turned out that Tanjiro was following Rengoku's last wish to visit his house and learn about the secrets of the Hinogami Kagura dance. He encountered Senjuro and his father, who constantly criticized Rengoku for his uselessness. Tanjiro immediately stood for Rengoku and denied what he was saying. However, when he discovered that Tanjiro was the successor of the sun-breathing user through the earrings he was wearing, he became angry and tried to restrain him. Senjuro tried to intervene but was pushed aside without mercy. The two of them had a conversation where it was revealed that the sun-breathing technique, also known as the Kagura dance, was the strongest breathing technique in the origin of all other breathing techniques. After a while, Tanjiro couldn't hold back anymore and charged at Rengoku's father, knocking him unconscious. After entering the house, Tanjiro confided in Renjuro about his amazing brother and what he had done. Senjuro gave him a book containing secrets about the Kagura dance, but it was torn and unreadable. Nevertheless, Tanjiro expressed his gratitude and encouraged Senjuro. Before saying goodbye, Senjuro gave Tanjiro a memento of Rengoku and wished him safety. As he was about to reach the mansion, Tanjiro encountered Hagenizuka, his swordsmith, who was angry and chased him in the morning for losing the sword he had forged. The next morning, everything finally settled down, and the trio of swordsmen continued their physical training. 4 months later, the trio continued to train hard and undertake some small missions. Tanjiro and Nezuko gradually improved their teamwork through each battle, and Tanjiro's water-breathing techniques also significantly improved. As they were nearing the mansion after completing a mission, Tanjiro encountered a tall man surrounded by girls, and that person was none other than the sound pillar, Uzui Tengen. Tanjiro rushed to rescue Aoi and Naho from the man, but Uzui swiftly moved to the rooftop with incredible speed. After a conversation, it was revealed that he needed someone to accompany him on a mission, and Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu decided to join him instead of Aoi. Reluctantly, Uzui agreed and returned Aoi. The destination they aimed for was the entertainment district, Yoshiwara. Zenitsu appeared shy about the destination they were heading to, while Uzui was feeling extremely excited and confident. They chatted together and have a gossip conversation, and through that, we learned that Uzui was a friendly and humorous person, and they began their journey to fulfill their mission. They finally arrived at Yoshiwara Entertainment District, a lively place with many beautiful women. Inosuke, unable to contain his excitement, ran off from the group, while Zenitsu was tempted by the beautiful women in the district. The women in the entertainment district were often sold here due to poverty and debts, and the highest ranked among them were known as Oiran. The first task assigned to the three of them was to find Uzui's 3 wives, who were hiding to gather information about demons. Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke were assigned to search in the respective brothels of Tokido, Ojimoto, and Kyogoku. They disguised themselves and looked quite comical. Tanjiro was accepted because of his honest nature, Inosuke because of his cute face, and Zenitsu because of his musical abilities. While working, Tanjiro struck up a conversation with 2 girls and heard the name of one of Uzui's wives. Suddenly, an Oiran appeared and gave Tanjiro some candies to thank him. Reluctantly, Tanjiro lied for the first time in his life to obtain information about Suma, Uzui's wife. According to what was revealed, Suma had left a note indicating her intention to escape, which didn't align with her character. Inosuke also overheard the name Makio while working, but had to remain calm to conceal his identity. The scene takes us back to the past, due to the appearance of a girl who recently caused many people to mysteriously disappear. The landlady believes that it is caused by an Oiran named Daki. She recalls an old story, from long ago, where there was an extremely beautiful Oiran, but strangely, she never aged and had the habit of tilting her head down and glaring in a very distinctive way, just like this girl. The landlady intended to eliminate this girl, but she quickly revealed her true form as a demon and suspended the landlady in mid-air. After some threats, she dropped the landlady from the sky and laughed triumphantly. She then sought out Muzan and was praised by him for her accomplishment of devouring many people. She also had a history of defeating 7 pillars in the past. As the morning came, in the Ojimoto brothel, Makio was tied up with pieces of cloth. A mysterious woman is interrogating her about the recent letters she sent. Inosuke noticed something unusual in the room and went to investigate. He was waiting for the right moment to catch a glimpse of the mysterious person, but eventually decided to open the door and check. He then noticed the demon's movement on the ceiling and immediately followed it. After chasing the demon throughout the brothel, he lost track of her. Moving back to Zenitsu, while he was working, he accidentally heard the cries of a girl. Upon investigation, he discovered a sobbing little girl. While comforting the girl, a woman suddenly appeared from behind, and Zenitsu could clearly sense that she was a demon. It was none other than Daki, the upper moon demon. She continuously insulted Zenitsu for his ugly appearance. She also tormented the little girl from earlier. Naturally, Zenitsu couldn't stand by and watch. He confronted her despite his fear. He was immediately thrown aside with a single swing of her arm, but thanks to the timely intervention of the landlord, Zenitsu's life was saved. Not only Zenitsu and Inosuke, but Tanjiro also sensed something unusual in this place. The next morning, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Uzui had a meeting to report on the situation. Uzui informed them that Zenitsu had gone missing and advised Tanjiro and Inosuke to leave the area to avoid any trouble. Then he left. Tanjiro and Inosuke then analyzed how the demon acted without leaving any trace. They decided to stay and investigate the incident, as well as rescue Zenitsu. That evening, Tanjiro revealed his identity to Oiran, who then told him that she would leave the town the next day to pursue her true love. After bidding farewell, Daki suddenly appeared and kidnapped her. While Tanjiro was on his way to meet Inosuke, he detected the scent of a demon. Inosuke couldn't wait any longer and decided to take matters on his own. Meanwhile, Uzui arrived at the brothel where Zenitsu had disappeared to get information. Once he obtained the information, Uzui immediately headed toward the demon's location. Back to Tanjiro, he found the source of the demon's scent. When he opened the door, he discovered Daki, the upper moon 6, who was binding a girl. She had the ability to trap others in her cloth. With a single strike, Tanjiro was knocked away and his body became paralyzed. Daki revealed herself and taunted Tanjiro. He placed the box containing Nezuko down and rushed to attack. Daki used her cloth as weapons to strike. Her speed was incredibly fast. They fought in midair, and Tanjiro seized the opportunity to slice through the cloth containing the girl. Uzui has now found his missing wife. After administering the antidote and instructing his wife, he quickly pursues the demon's trail. Tanjiro's sword was damaged during the battle, and the demon seizes the opportunity to attack him. Remembering his training, Tanjiro recalls that while the Kagura dance has higher damage than the breath of water, it also has some side effects for the user. Returning to reality, Tanjiro continues to perform the Kagura dance, and successfully cuts through the approaching fabric pieces. He proactively charges and attacks, using the creation of illusions to spot the demon's vulnerabilities. However, her speed, reflexes, and strength far surpass him. The side effects of the Kagura technique stiffen Tanjiro's body, forcing him to constantly manage to evade her attacks. Meanwhile, Inosuke, after some digging and crawling, discovers a place where the demon keeps its hostages. Zenitsu and the other 2 wives are imprisoned there. A fabric piece with a human face appears and attacks him, but Inosuke easily defeats them and rescues the trapped individuals. While engrossed in his assault, Inosuke forgets to protect others, but Uzui's 2 wives come to his aid in time. Zenitsu also appears and supports him in cutting through the fabric pieces. Overwhelmed by the numerous enemies, the demon once again confronts Uzui, who swiftly slices through all the fabric pieces with a single sword strike. Tanjiro continuously faced disadvantages and had to defend against the demon's attacks. Suddenly, the fabric pieces from the cave earlier returned to the demon's body. Her strength increased to the extreme. With a single strike, she can easily demolish nearby houses and severely injured Tanjiro. He recalled the letters that Rengoku's father had sent him, expressing his regret for treating him poorly, and acknowledging Tanjiro's potential strength, because Tanjiro possessed a scar on his forehead, a symbol of someone who uses the sun-breathing technique. However, only Tanjiro knew the truth that he was not the inheritor of the sun-breathing technique, and the scar on his head was not innate neither, but accidentally caused by a burn when he was young. Nevertheless, he remained determined, catching up with the demon and launching his own attacks. Tanjiro's current form was extremely ferocious, and his words closely resembled those of the swordsman who had threatened Musen's life. The demon continuously unleashed wide-range attacks without using her blood demon technique. But Tanjiro was different now. He could easily slice through the fabric pieces using the Kagura dance. The wounds caused by his strikes could no longer heal and caused intense pain to the demon. Tanjiro continuously employed the Kagura dance technique without affecting his body, making his strikes faster and more powerful. He moved at an incredibly fast speed and slashed at the demon's head. But instead of severing it, his sword stuck at the demon's neck. The demon counterattacked, but Tanjiro could easily anticipate and dodge these strikes. He gathered the fabric pieces together and pinned them to the ground with his sword. Then, he swiftly lunged at the demon, preventing it from reacting in time. When he was about to strike the demon's head, his breath began to falter. The demon intended to deliver a finishing strike, but Nezuko arrived just in time and a single kick sent the demon flying away. The demon immediately recognized her as the demon that Musen had warned to eliminate. Nezuko took the initiative and launched an attack, but was countered by fabric pieces and thrown back. Despite being heavily injured and immobile, Nezuko miraculously stood up and regenerated her body at an upper moon demon speed. Suddenly, Nezuko's body became enhanced, her speed and strikes rendered the demon unable to react in time. The demon counterattacks and slashes Nezuko, but her body can still stay recovered. Nezuko uses her flame to burn the demon, then she continues to stomp and torment the demon in a pleasant mood, slowly losing her sanity. Just as she was about to attack humans, Tanjiro arrives in time to intervene. The demon seizes the opportunity to try to kill them both, but Uzui appears and protects his siblings. Before the demon can understand what's happening, Uzui swiftly beheads it. At this moment, Nezuko is still out of control, but thanks to Tanjiro's singing, she gradually regains consciousness and shrinks in size. Although the demon has been beheaded, its body hasn't disintegrated yet. She calls out the name of its older brother, and suddenly another demon appears. Uzui immediately rushes to finish off the demon, but it swiftly moves at incredible speed and evades Uzui's sword. He effortlessly recovers his sister using its own demon blood technique. Uzui continues to actively attack, but the demon easily dodges and counters with his scythe-shaped blades. His appearance is extremely terrifying, completely opposite to his sister's. He activates his demon blood technique and launches thin blood blades toward Uzui, but he quickly uses explosives and escapes with the people. The blood blades continue to pursue Uzui, and he has to continuously defend himself. He decides to use explosives and blow up the area along with the demons, but they all manage to escape unscathed after the explosion. Despite being poisoned by the previous attack from the demon, Uzui managed to stand firm because he came from a ninja family and had undergone extremely rigorous training. Uzui rushed forward and threw a rock at Daki, then used an explosive bullet to blow off the demon's head. He continued to use his sword to strike at the demon's neck, but failed. Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu had arrived by this time to support Uzui, while Uzui's wives were evacuating the villagers. They also realized that the way to defeat these two demons was to decapitate them simultaneously. Zenitsu rushed in to attack one of the demons and separated it from the others. They divided themselves, with Tanjiro and Uzui fighting the brother demon, while the other two dealt with the younger demon. The demon charged at Tanjiro with incredible speed, but Uzui protected him just in time. A series of cloth fragments fell from the sky, and both of them struggled to defend against them. Inosuke and Zenitsu were also overwhelmed as they were constantly attacked by the demons. Thanks to the third eye, the attacks from the demon became increasingly powerful. Uzui and the demon engaged in a fiery battle, where Uzui was outmatched by the demon's speed. Tanjiro stepped in and defended Uzui, creating an opportunity for Uzui to counterattack. Both fronts were engaged in fierce battles, and it seemed that the swordsmen were losing against the demons. Suddenly, one of Uzui's wives appeared and threw throwing knives to support them, but the demon managed to defend against the attacks. However, Uzui takes the chance to cut off the demon's leg and created an opening for a throwing knife to pierce his neck. Seizing the opportunity, both Uzui and Tanjiro charged forward, aiming straight for the demon's neck. His legs quickly recovered and he activated a large-scale blood demon technique. Uzui immediately unleashed the breath of sound to retaliate. Suddenly, pieces of cloth wrapped around him, and he could only watch helplessly as his wife was attacked. But Tanjiro quickly rushed in, combining both the breaths of fire and water, successfully rescuing the girl. They continued their joint assault on the demon's neck, but he managed to withstand their attacks. They separated again, with Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu dealing with Daki first, while Uzui would fight the older demon. After a period of defending, they decided to charge together at the same time. Tanjiro and Zenitsu used their techniques to intercept the incoming cloth, creating an opportunity for Inosuke to activate the beast's breath and sever the demon's neck. He then quickly grabbed the demon's head and ran, preventing it from regenerating. When everything seemed to be successful, the older demon appeared and pierced Inosuke's body. Uzui also lost an arm and lay motionless. They completely lost in this battle. Tanjiro woke up from his daze, and the scene around him looked chaotic. Everything was engulfed in flames. The demon appeared in front of him and informed him that Inosuke was nearly dead. Zenitsu was pinned under debris, and Uzui was immobilized due to poison. The demon relentlessly persecuted Tanjiro. He tried to flee but couldn't escape. He was cornered against a wall and futilely fought back. Just when it seemed like he would give up, Tanjiro headbutted the demon, stunning him. It was the effect of a throwing dart that Tanjiro had embedded in the demon earlier. Tanjiro seized the opportunity and struck the demon's head. Zenitsu miraculously emerged from the rubble to attack Daki. With incredible speed, he unleashed thunder breathing and nearly decapitated the demon. This was the last chance for both of them to sever the heads of the demons simultaneously. However, the poison had worn off, and the demon retaliated against Tanjiro relentlessly. In the midst of this intense battle, Uzui appeared once again. Both of them engaged in a lightning-fast fight, and despite having only one arm, Uzui could hold his own against the demon. In fact, he now had the upper hand, delivering faster and more powerful blows than before. They exchanged skills continuously, causing the area to explode and be immersed in flames. Tanjiro noticed an opportunity and launched an attack. Even though he was struck in the chin by the demon, he managed to strike the demon's neck. With extraordinary effort, the mark of the demon slayer gradually appeared on Tanjiro's forehead, enabling him to strike deep into the demon's neck. Back to Zenitsu, while he was struggling to sever the demon's neck, Inosuke miraculously appeared and struck the demon's neck. Three of them exerted all their strength for a decisive strike, and they succeeded. The heads of the two demons rolled close to each other. It seemed like the end, but suddenly, an explosion occurred as the remaining part of the demon's body detonated. When Tanjiro woke up, he was surprised to find himself still alive. This was likely due to Nezuko using her flame to detoxify and protect him. While Zenitsu was relatively fine, Inosuke was almost dead as the poison had spread throughout his body. It seemed like the end for Inosuke, but Nezuko easily detoxified him. Similarly, Uzui was also cured and luckily escaped from death. Tanjiro took their blood samples and sent them back to Tamayo for research, then went to find the heads of the remaining demons. He found them arguing with each other. After being severely scolded by his younger sister, the older brother got angry and cursed back without mercy. Before completely vanishing, the older brother remembered their past as siblings. Since birth, he had lived at the bottom of society, where his mother constantly abused him. Despite his frail body, he tried to eat insects to survive day by day. In a place where beauty was considered the standard of human worth, he was no different from trash. His life only changed when his beautiful younger sister, Yum, was born, and he no longer felt self-conscious about his own ugliness. It seemed like their lives would be beautiful forever. But one day, Yum was burned alive by a customer because she dared to attack him. Helpless, he screamed out in pain and was also severely slashed. Unable to bear it any longer, he killed the customer and carried his sister in search of help. However, no one in this society offered any assistance, and it seemed like both of them would die there. But then a demon appeared and turned them into demons themselves. In the end, as he was about to descend into hell, he still wished for the best things to happen to his younger sister, no matter how difficult the choice was. But Yum chose to go with him. They then journeyed together towards hell and vanished. After the fierce battle at the entertainment district, Tanjiro, Inosuke, Nezuko, and Zenitsu were found lying motionless in a place. Finally, After 100 years, an upper moon was defeated, and now they could fully hope for a future where they could defeat Muzan. The scene shifted to a different space where the upper moons were summoned, indicating that an upper moon had been eliminated. Each member of the 12 demon moons appeared one by one, starting with upper rank 3, Akaza, followed by upper rank 5, Gyoko in the form of a demon in a jar. Upper rank 4, Huntengu also appeared with a timid and fearful demeanor, while upper rank 2, Doma appeared with a friendly demeanor, greeting everyone. Akaza seemed to dislike Doma, but it didn't seem to bother him. The first upper rank, Kakashibo, who had been summoned first, was sitting and waiting for Muzan to arrive. Finally, Muzan himself appeared, and the purpose of today's meeting was to discuss the failure of upper rank 6 Gyutaro. While Akaza appeared fearful, Doma still maintained a friendly expression on his face. Muzan showed anger because it had been hundreds of years and he still hadn't found the blue spider lily. But Gyoko had useful information about a swordsmith village. Muzan immediately ordered him and Hantengu to go there and investigate. When Doma wanted to go along, Akaza appeared and showed his displeasure towards him. Kakashibo suddenly appeared and warned Akaza about his attitude, creating pressure that made him stand still and listen to orders. They all then left to carry out their mission. A flashback appeared. In the past, Tanjiro's ancestor was talking to a swordsman who had almost killed Muzan. Through their conversation, we learned that he had saved Tanjiro's ancestor's family and was facing difficulties because he had no successor. And it seemed that he had no intention of finding one. Back to reality, Tanjiro finally woke up after 2 months of unconsciousness. Everyone was very happy. Inosuke and Zenitsu had already recovered a while ago and were carrying out their mission. In the following days, Tanjiro continued his training to regain his strength. Hotaru Haganazuka, the swordsmith who forged his sword, appeared extremely angry because Tanjiro had dared to damage the sword. Therefore, Tanjiro decided to go to the swordsmith village to talk to him. It was a highly confidential area where swords were forged for the Demon Slayer Corps. To reach this place, Tanjiro had to be blindfolded and deafened throughout the journey. Finally, they arrived at the village, a small village that was the heart of the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro found the village chief's residence and greeted him. After leaving, he encountered the love pillar Mitsuri, who was very happy to see him. At the hot spring, he met Genya Shinazugawa, the younger brother of the wind pillar. He didn't seem very friendly towards him. That night, after having dinner, Mitsuri played with Nezuko, and they seemed quite friendly with each other. Through a conversation with Tanjiro, Mitsuri revealed that she joined the Demon Slayer Corps to find a strong husband, and also disclosed a secret about a hidden weapon in this village. The next morning, Tanjiro encountered water pillar Michiro arguing with a boy, and not only that, he also saw a familiar figure that appeared in his dream. After observing for a while, he realized that the boy, named Kotetsu, was preventing Michiro from taking the key to activate the mechanical puppet, an artifact left by his ancestors 300 years ago. Tanjiro also appeared to protect the boy, but with just one strike, Michiro knocked him to the ground. Michiro displayed disdain for swordsmiths, but Tanjiro stood up to refute those opinions. However, Tanjiro was still rendered unconscious. When he woke up, he saw Michiro training with the mechanical puppet. According to Michiro's messenger Crow, we learned that he is the successor of the sun-breathing user. After a fierce battle, the final puppet was finally defeated. Devastated, the boy left, but Tanjiro sought him out and comforted him. The puppet now had only 5 arms, and from now on, Tanjiro would train with it. After many days of training and enduring hardships, his speed improved. Keeping up with the puppet's movements, he successfully defeated the puppet. Inside the figurine, an ancient sword was revealed, seemingly the secret weapon that Mitsuri mentioned. However, it was just a rusty blade. Suddenly, Mr. Haganazuka appeared out of nowhere and wanted to take the sword to forge it. But due to a misunderstanding, Tanjiro didn't allow him to do so. Luckily, another masked person appeared and explained the situation. Tanjiro understood and handed over the sword to Mr. Haganazuka for forging. That evening, Tanjiro struck up a conversation and befriended Genza. Although he didn't seem very pleased about it, the scene shifted to another location where a young man, while walking, came across a vase. Due to his curiosity, he approached to take a closer look and was pulled inside the vase. It turned out to be the upper moon 5, Gyoko. and Hantengu also approached Tanjiro with a fearful demeanor. While he was fast asleep, Michiro woke him up to ask about the whereabouts of his swordsmith. During their conversation, Hantengu suddenly entered, and Michiro immediately activated his mist-breathing technique to attack. However, Hantengu moved at an incredible speed and clung to the ceiling. Tanjiro and Nezuko swiftly launched their attacks, creating an opportunity for Michiro to decapitate the demon. Of course, he wasn't dead yet and split into two new forms. His true power was now revealed. A single blow sent Michiro flying away, and Tanjiro was fortunate that Nezuko caught him in time. The two new forms included Sakito, who was always in an angry state, and Karaku, who constantly laughed. Sakito used his cane to generate an electric current, paralyzing Tanjiro, but Genya unexpectedly appeared from the rooftop. With just a gun, he instantly blew the heads off the two demons. The two forms continued to split again, creating two new forms, one severely injuring Genya with a spear, and the other having the ability to fly. He lifted Tanjiro into the sky and unleashed a sound wave that left him numb. Returning to Michiro, on his way back to rejoin the battle, he encountered Kotetsu being attacked by a fish-like demon. Michiro swiftly arrived and rescued the boy. Despite having its head severed, it was able to regenerate, which means its weakness lies elsewhere, and that is the vase on its body. He quickly sliced off the vase and successfully killed it. Then he swiftly returned to the village. Turning back to Tanjiro, despite having its head cut off, the demon continued to split up, but its secondary form was now smaller and weaker than before. Tanjiro deduced that the demon could only split into four strongest forms. The winged demon returned and continuously inflicted serious injuries on Tanjiro. Returning to the battlefield of Genya and Nezuko, both of them were currently at a disadvantage against three demons. Although Genya was stabbed through the stomach, he managed to shoot one demon, causing its head to fly off, but it immediately regenerated. He continued to attack, but was struck by Sakito's lightning that he couldn't control and was thrown far away. Nezuko wasn't faring any better as she was pierced through the stomach by Karaku, but she retaliated with a kick and incinerated him with her flame. Then she blew him away with his own fan, but was subsequently restrained by Sakito's lightning. Tanjiro, by taking advantage of the demon's ability to fly, successfully came to Nezuko and Genya's place. He used the winged demon's leg to counter the lightning attacks and saved Nezuko. As soon as Nezuko woke up, she immediately incinerated the demon, but Karaku returned to the battle and used the fan to attack, leaving both Tanjiro and his brother unconscious. Mitsuri arrived just in time to rescue the villagers using her flexible and nimble sword. She easily defeated the monsters and saved the village chief. Nezuko, after regaining consciousness, was carrying Tanjiro to protect him from Sakito's attacks. After being struck by Sakito's lightning, it was Tanjiro's turn to carry Nezuko and flee, followed by Karaku's pursuit. Karaku unleashed a technique that blew away a large area. Michiro, on his way back to the village, coincidentally encountered his swordsmith. The old man then quickly led him to the location where his sword was stored. When they arrived, they encountered Gyoko. He boasted about the swordsmiths he had captured as trophies. Michiro immediately launched an attack, but Gyoko easily dodged and escaped into another vase. Gyoko retaliated with throwing knives, and in an effort to protect Kotetsu, his swordsmith, Michiro was hit by the knives, allowing both of them to escape. He continued to be restrained by Gyoko using a water bubble. Meanwhile, Tanjiro received flame from Nezuko, which she infused into the sword. With this power, he performed the Kagura dance and swiftly beheaded three enemies. Genya, on the other hand, successfully obtained the head of the remaining demon, but they didn't disintegrate. This meant there was still a fifth demon left. Nezuko and Genya stayed behind to hold off the four demons while Tanjiro went to search for the fifth one. With his keen sense of smell, Tanjiro quickly located the position of the fifth demon for Genya. Tanjiro and Nezuko fought together to create an opportunity for Genya to eliminate the fifth demon. Genya finally discovered the fifth demon, who was extremely small and sturdy, not easily defeated by guns or knives. As he was about to be finished off by Sakito, he had a flashback to the past, where he lived with his violent father, but his mother loved him and his brother dearly. One night, Sanemi went to find their mother alone because she came home very late. When dawn approached, their siblings were attacked by a mysterious demon. Sanemi arrived just in time to protect Genya. He then went to find a doctor to save their siblings, but when he returned, he only saw Sanemi standing in front of their mother's corpse, who had been turned into a demon and attacked him the previous night. Due to a misunderstanding, Genya continuously cursed his older brother as a murderer. This misunderstanding has haunted him to this day. Returning to reality, Tanjiro arrived just in time to rescue him. And Genya also helped him back by deflecting a lethal blow and entrusted the task of beheading the fifth demon to him. The reason why Genya is still alive is he can obtain the demon's ability by having their flesh. Tanjiro quickly located Hantengu and struck him in the neck, thinking he was about to succeed. However, suddenly he sensed a menacing aura from behind. The sound of drumming echoed, forming dragons soaring from the ground. Tanjiro clung onto them, evading the attack. Nezuko, in an effort to shield Tanjiro from a blow, was injured and rendered unconscious. The demon revealed himself, a combination of the remaining four demons. He created a protective layer for Hantengu and generated immense pressure. Meanwhile, Michiro was still restrained in the water bubble, while the demon took advantage of this opportunity to enter the swordsmith's forge. Inside, Mr. Hagenizuka continued forging the sword Tanjiro had brought him, ignoring the presence of Gyoko. As Michiro was losing consciousness due to lack of oxygen, Koketsu, despite being attacked by a demon, made an effort to reach him and provide him with air to breathe. Thanks to that, Michiro successfully shattered the water bubble and escaped. However, now he is completely exhausted, and when he was about to be attacked by a group of demons, his lost memories have returned. When he was a child, he often went chopping firewood with his father. On a stormy evening, his father fell and died while picking herbs for his sick mother, who also couldn't survive that night. He has another older brother named Yuichiro, who always spoke harsh words to him. Time flew by, and one day, the relatives of Lord Oyakata came to visit and informed the two brothers that they are descendants of swordsmen who used the original breath technique. Yuichiro became angry because Michiro showed interest in becoming a demon slayer, thinking it was useless to work. In the following days, Yuichiro always expels the aunt whenever she visited. On a hot summer night, a demon suddenly appeared, and Yuichiro lost his arm while protecting Michiro. Both of them were cornered against a wall. In a moment of anger, Michiro lost his sanity, and when he regained consciousness, it was already morning, and the demon was near death and vanished. Michiro then returned home to find his brother, but Yuichiro was almost dead. Before dead, Yuichiro prayed the best things for Michiro. Coming back to reality, the demon slayer mark appeared on Michiro's face, and he easily defeated the demons. He then sought out Gyoko and wounded him. Gyoko retaliated with gigantic attacks and restrained Michiro, but with his new sword in hand, Michiro easily escaped. He swiftly charged at Gyoko and slashed his neck. The two of them then unleashed a series of attacks against each other. Gyoko released a series of poisonous fish targeting Michiro, but he managed to dodge them and used his mist breath to blow away the fish. He then rushed forward and beheaded the demon, but he was quick to shed his skin and escape up a tree. He finally revealed his true form, a fish with a long tail, and his attack speed had significantly increased. It seemed like he would defeat Michiro with his newfound power, but Michiro created a layer of mist and illusions, then sliced off his head. After dismembering him into pieces, Michiro also fell unconscious due to the effects of the poison. Meanwhile, Tanjiro was struggling to deal with the five-headed dragon. This dragon had the ability to use both lightning and sound waves. Despite his efforts to dodge, he couldn't avoid being swallowed by the dragon, and Genya and Nezuko were also caught up in its grasp. Just when it seemed like it would end there, Mitsuri appeared out of nowhere and sliced the dragon into pieces. Her flexible sword seemed to be able to overcome the dragons. She easily dodged the attacks he created. The breath of love was a branch separated from the breath of fire, created by Mitsuri herself. Combined with her flexible sword and Mitsuri's muscular strength, she appeared to dominate the demon with her techniques. She quickly approached and wrapped her sword around his neck, but he unleashed a sound wave that paralyzed her. As she was about to be defeated by the demon, she remembered her past, being born into a happy family. Despite being just over a year old, Mitsuri had already shown a greater appetite and muscular strength than others. But as she grew up, she became more insecure because of her differences, fearing that no one would love her true self. She then decided to join the Demon Slayer Corps to find her true love. And it was here that she received special affection from Obanai, the serpent Hashira. Returning to reality, Tanjiro's group luckily saved her life, and she quickly regained consciousness and protected them from lightning strikes. They decided to split up, with Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko searching for and eliminating the Hatingu entity, while Mitsuri held back the demon controlling the dragon. After activating the Demon Slayer mark, Mitsuri's speed and strength increased significantly. Through his keen sense of smell, Tanjiro blew into the location of the small demon, but Hantengu quickly sent them flying. Genya successfully separated the branches with his fangs, and with Nezuko's support, Tanjiro cut the roots of the tree in half. But Hantengu managed to escape. In the effort to chase after Hantengu, Tanjiro's legs were heavily injured and he couldn't continue walking. However, he suddenly remembered Zenitsu's account of how he controlled his thunder-breathing technique by allowing air to flow through his blood vessels and focus on his legs. With this technique, Tanjiro managed to accelerate and approach Hantengu, swiftly striking him in the neck. Hantengu suddenly transformed into a gigantic form and grabbed Tanjiro by the throat. Genya and Nezuko made a successful effort to free him. Hantengu immediately fled and both Hantengu, Tanjiro, and Nezuko fell down the mountainside. Hantengu continued to chase a group of children to consume them in order to regain his strength. Suddenly, Michiro threw Tanjiro the sword he had requested to be forged a few days ago. Thanks to that, Tanjiro concentrated all his breath and rushed forward, successfully decapitating Hantengu this time. However, dawn was breaking, and Tanjiro immediately ran toward Nezuko, worried about his sister. But Nezuko, disregarding her own life, urged Tanjiro to go and save the children because Hantengu was still alive. This happened because Tanjiro mistakenly struck the wrong part. She was instantly burned by sunlight. Faced with the choice of saving his sister or the villagers, he couldn't make a decision. However, Nezuko chose to sacrifice herself so that he could save the villagers. Filling with tears, Tanjiro suppressed his pain and ran towards the demon. After determining its location, he relentlessly slashed at the demon and put all his strength into striking its neck. Finally, it was officially defeated. While grieving, thinking that Nezuko had died, she suddenly appeared before him unharmed. Although extremely surprised, he still came and embraced her, as a promise that he will never leave her anymore. Genya also joined them, smiling happily. Returning to Mitsuri, when she was almost devoured by the demon, he suddenly vanished because its original form had been destroyed. Muzan, upon hearing that Nezuko could withstand sunlight, was delighted, believing that by consuming her, he could become immortal. Going back 1,000 years, Muzan, who was suffering from a terminal illness and would die before the age of 20, he entrusted his life to a doctor to create a medicine. Out of anger when the medicine had no effect, Muzan killed his own doctor. However, shortly after killing the doctor, he realized that the medicine actually worked. He could feel a surge of power within him, but there was one limitation: his body would disintegrate upon contact with sunlight. He began using his newfound power to kill people during the night and search for a way to create a medicine that would allow him to move freely during the day. This medicine was made from the blue spider lily flower, and only the doctor, who he killed, knew about it. Therefore, he was determined to consume Nezuko to become the perfect creature. Tanjiro's group later reunited with Michiro and Master Haganazuka. Mitsuri was also present, with a radiant expression. They all survived this battle. Thanks to Nezuko's blood, the research efforts of Mrs. Tamayo made progress, as she helped the one who were once turned into demons by Muzan regain his consciousness. After bidding farewell to the village chief and receiving warm farewells from everyone, Tanjiro began his journey back home. And that concludes the main storyline of Demon Slayer. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button to support the channel. See you again.